Please don't forget subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified of new daily videos.
I've always prided myself on my problem-solving skills, a trait I inherited from years tinkering with complex systems. My role as a lead systems integrator at Zenith Logistics, a behemoth in the e-commerce fulfillment world, put those skills to the test daily. Our main facility, a sprawling automated warehouse, was a marvel of interconnected robotics, conveyors, and sorting algorithms. My team ensured the digital brain of this beast ran smoothly. But sometimes, the brain needed physical access, and that's where Barnaby came in. Barnaby Charles was the head of facilities and infrastructure, a man whose domain covered every bolt, girder, and power conduit in the entire building. And he was notorious for his unwavering commitment to the phrase, "That's not my department." One particularly brutal Monday, a critical sensor array in our Module 7, the high-speed sorting hub, went completely dark. This wasn't just a glitch. It meant a significant bottleneck, immediately costing us hundreds of thousands, quickly escalating to millions in stalled shipments. My team isolated the issue. A faulty sensor, physically embedded deep within the module's protective casing and structural framework. Repairing it wasn't complex for us, but accessing it required dismantling heavy, interlocking panels and structural supports, a clear F&I task. I walked over to Barnaby's office, detailed the problem, and explained precisely what his team needed to do to grant us access. He listened, then slowly leaned back in his chair. "Kira," he said with that dismissive wave of his hand, "it's a sensor issue. That's systems. Your team fixes it. My guys aren't trained for delicate electronics." I argued, explaining the physical nature of the access, the specialized tools, the safety protocols required for structural elements. He just shrugged. "Not my department. Pound sand, Vance. Get your nerds to figure it out." The sheer arrogance, the blatant disregard for company revenue, and the operational nightmare he was creating boiled my blood. Millions were being lost, and he just didn't care. That's when I decided Barnaby was going to learn a very expensive lesson in cross-departmental collaboration. I returned to my team, a forced calm masking the rage. I told them to escalate the downtime report to the highest level, making sure the financial impact was clearly stated, but kept quiet about Barnaby's refusal. My mind was already racing, recalling every schematic, every assembly diagram I'd ever reviewed for Module 7 during its integration. I knew exactly how that beast was put together, and I knew how to take it apart. My plan was simple, brutal, and utterly irreversible. I would grant myself access. I would fix my team's part of the problem. And then I would make the reassembly of everything else Barnaby's and only Barnaby's problem. The goal wasn't just to fix the sensor, it was to dismantle his career. I sent my team to assist with rerouting urgent packages manually, ensuring they were out of the immediate area. I told them I needed quiet to troubleshoot the physical layer myself. Then, I headed to the maintenance lockers, bypassing the F&I section. I knew where the master keys were, and where the heavy-duty torque wrenches, impact drivers, and specialized panel removal tools were kept. I hauled a large utility cart laden with tools, empty plastic bins, and rolls of industrial-grade Ziploc bags to Module 7. For the next 8 hours, I became a whirlwind of methodical deconstruction. I started with the outermost protective panels, the noise-dampening covers, the access hatches. Each bolt, each washer, each specialized fastener was meticulously removed, placed into a labeled Ziploc bag. Panel A fasteners, side access bolts, frame stabilizer washers. But the labels were deliberately vague. They identified what the parts were, not where they went or how they interconnected. I removed redundant safety systems, structural braces, internal conduits that had nothing to do with the sensor, but everything to do with the module's integrity. I bypassed safety interlocks, temporarily, because this wasn't about repairing it. It was about exposing its inner workings completely. My hands ached, my clothes were grimy, but the satisfaction grew with each satisfying click of a ratchet. By the time I reached the core where the sensor array resided, Module 7 looked like an exploded diagram brought to life. There were thousands of components neatly stacked and bagged around its exposed skeleton. The sensor problem itself, once accessible, turned out to be a minuscule corroded contact on a connector, a 5-minute fix. I swapped the contact, tested the sensor array, it glowed green, and confirmed all systems were online from my side. I then carefully stacked all the bagged hardware and removed panels around the now fully operational but utterly exposed module. I took a few high-resolution photos for my own peace of mind, documenting the precise state of repaired but disassembled. Finally, I sent a formal email to operations, copying Barnaby, his direct manager, and mine. Subject: Module 7 sensor array fixed. Body: the critical sensor array in Module 7 has been successfully repaired and verified operational by systems. Extensive mechanical disassembly was required to gain access. The module's physical reassembly falls under facilities and infrastructure before it can be safely brought back online. The next morning was glorious. I watched from my office as Barnaby, followed by his visibly confused team, walked into Module 7. He strode in head high, probably expecting a few loose panels. Then he looked inside. I swear his face went from a healthy flush to an ashen gray. His jaw dropped and he let out a choked sound, a mixture of disbelief and utter horror. The air turned blue as he started screaming, stomping towards my office. I met him halfway across the floor. "Vance, what in the seven hells have you done?" he roared, his face purple. "You've dismantled half the bloody module. Put it back now." I met his gaze calmly. "Barnaby, as per our conversation yesterday, it wasn't your department to help me get access. So I got access. My job was the sensor, and it's fixed. Now the physical reassembly, the structural integrity, the safety interlocks, that's all your department. You said it yourself. My guys aren't trained for delicate electronics." "Well, my guys aren't trained for heavy mechanical reengineering either, especially without assembly diagrams for components that your team maintains. I'm just a systems integrator, Barnaby. I integrate. You reintegrate." Module 7 remained offline for nearly 3 weeks. Operations was in a frenzy. The daily cost reports were astronomical. Barnaby's team, without proper schematics for the reassembly of the specific panels I had removed, because F and I usually only did specific, documented repairs, not full system teardowns, struggled desperately. They consulted design documents, tried to reverse engineer the reassembly process, and even had to call in external structural engineers to verify their work. The entire process was a nightmare of epic proportions, costing the company tens of millions in lost revenue and emergency structural assessment fees. Within a month, Barnaby Charles was no longer head of facilities and infrastructure. He was demoted to a glorified technician role in a remote satellite office, effectively ending his career trajectory at Zenith. The word spread like wildfire through the company. "Never tell Kira Vance that something isn't your department." From that day forward, the F&I team and every other department became incredibly cooperative when I needed their help. The phrase "not my job" vanished from our operational lexicon, replaced by a much more collaborative, "How can we help you get that done, Kira?" It was beautiful. Watching his empire crumble because of his own stubborn pride was the sweetest justice. Some lessons, it turns out, are best learned the hard way, and at immense corporate expense.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button to like it. And please do subscribe to support the channel.